step one, Trump start the fire. Step two, Trump put out the fire. He plays the arsonist and the fireman. I bombed Iran's nuclear bases. I didn't destroy their nuclear stock, but I bombed their nuclear bases. But there are other crises he's playing with as well. The Federal Reserve is basically much more likely to cut rates. And this comes back to my theory once again, that Trump creates the crisis and then Trump solves the crisis. Well, nobody tells you guys this, but I figured out how this Bitcoin or stock market bull run is going to work. I call it Trump's blow off top, and it works like this. Trump create the crisis, Trump solve the crisis. And that's how we're going to get a blow off top. Look, I'll show you. Trump start the fire. Tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. China gets 145%. Europe gets like 30%. Japan gets 25%. Boom, market crashes. Then he says, no. I only meant like 10% for Europe, 30% for China, and then boom, the market comes right back. See this gap here? That gap was the Geneva weekend. This was because he caved on China. This was because he caved on Iran. Oh, what do you mean by he caved on Iran, Pablo? He bombed Iran. No, what he does is this. He basically allows Israel, he gives permission for Israel to attack Iran. Iran hits back very softly. Israel wants to go ahead and bomb their nuclear facilities, which Trump does, but he tells Iran beforehand, remove your nukes. I'm going to bomb your nuclear facilities. And Iran says, okay, we'll do that. But then give us a face-saving way to get out of this. Then Iran attacks the U.S. military bases in Qatar, but doesn't really hit anybody, and U.S. knows to evacuate, right? So both sides can say to their supporters and voters, hey, look how tough we are. And again, the crisis is solved. Trump creates the fire, Trump puts out the fire, and once again, the crisis is solved. But there are other crises he's playing with as well. It's not just those two. Another thing we've seen today is that the Fed is willing to cut rates now. And the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, just spoke in front of Congress. And what he said was very, very encouraging. Well, the situation is that you have these two Federal Reserve presidents come out. One's called Waller and one's called Bowman. And both of them are leading the voice to say that we should cut rates, and rates are too restrictive, and so therefore it puts the pressure on Powell. He doesn't want to be the last guy standing, just trying to not cut rates, because if a recession happens, he'll go down in history as the sinner, as the guy who refused to cut rates. Now the market has adjusted hugely. This is a September contract. The market is pricing in an 85% chance of a rate cut. 1 month ago, we were looking at 40% chance there was no rate cut. One rate cut was 48% chance, now 70% chance. So basically, the market is reacting in real time to the fact that the Federal Reserve is basically much more likely to cut rates. And this comes back to my theory once again, that Trump creates the crisis and then Trump solves the crisis. Trump creates the crisis and he solves the crisis. The Federal Reserve Chairman said very clearly that he can't cut rates because they're expecting inflation to go up once the tariffs kick in over July, August, September, right? Who created the tariffs? Trump, right? Now he's bringing the tariffs down. So now the Federal Reserve Chairman is saying, okay, maybe tariffs are not as bad as we think it's going to be. So maybe inflation is not going to be as bad as we thought it's going to be. If you're in my Discord, you know this already, that for every $10 oil goes up, then inflation in the United States goes up by 0.5%. So for $20 increasing oil price, and then the inflation in the United States goes up by 1%. So we've gone from like here $63 to almost 80. So that's like almost 1% increase in inflation from say 2.4% to 3.4%. Fed was never going to cut. And then because of the peace deal, and someone's nominating Trump for Nobel Peace Prize, so now it's crashed from $78 to $64, $15 crash in 2 days. This is the biggest crash I've seen in oil price in recent history, because no one is as crazy as Trump. If you read The Art of the Deal, if you read his book, basically says you come out with a big bluff to scare the opposition, and then you slowly walk it back to make them think, oh, okay, actually the situation's not as bad as before. So this is what he does. But now we know what his game plan is. This is what Pablo has been calling for all along, a blow off top. There's no war on Iran. There's no ground invasion, just some bombings, and Iran bombed some US bases. Both theatrical shows. They put on theater to put on a show to make it look like everything's okay. So blow off top coming. This has been an exhilarating journey. Fed's going to cut rates. Fed's going to end QT, maybe do some stealth QE. Tariffs going to come down even more, and Middle East will have probably relative peace for the next few months, but then it's going to blow up again. But that's when bear market starts.